Okay, so what I'll be doing right now, I'll be performing frequency separation on this picture. So this is Vivian. She's a professional model in Lagos here, and called Vivian's manager. So they sent her to us at the studios where we had this shoot with her. So they were basically headshots. If you notice, they're basically headshots, different angles, different kind of shots, different views, So, and it came out pretty well. It came out pretty well. So I actually made use of one light all through because that was my intention. And I ensured that the light was showing the light was strategically placed in such a way that it showed in our eyes at the same time. So these were all the pictures that came out from that particular shoot. So I think, okay, this is a better shot. I might be working on this. This looks really good. This looks really good. So I think I like this one. I might want to work on this one. So I'm going to just drag and drop this into Photoshop now. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to drag and drop this into Photoshop now. So this process is called skin retouching, and the method we'll be using is frequency separation method of skin retouching. It's a process whereby you are trying to separate you're trying to separate a picture into two different layers, into two different frequencies. One frequency contains what we call high frequency, while the other layer rather is called low frequency. So we have two layers. One is called high frequency, one is called low frequency. Now, in frequency separation, one thing you should take note is the fact that high frequency contains what we call textures, while low frequency contains what we call colors. Some will say colors and tones. Yeah, that's fine. High frequency contains texture, low frequency contains color. Okay, so high frequency contains texture, low frequency contains color. So we have some steps that you guys have to go through, some steps you have to take in order to ensure, or in order for you to separate this particular picture into two different um, layers or two different frequencies. So if I ask you, like there was an illustration I gave that I said, if you take a look at my skin, those of you that know me, my skin has, what's the color of my skin? I know you might say my skin is color brown or chocolate or something, right? But if I tell you what's the texture of my skin, you're going to tell me it's probably rough or it's probably smooth. Yeah. So in this picture now, the color of this model is, I think, she's light skin. Yeah, right. Light skin or chocolate or something, or light. I already said light skin, but the texture is smooth. She has a smooth skin. That's the texture of our skin. Okay, so these are the steps. So first things first, you go to, once you drag your picture into Photoshop, it's going to open up like this. Then you go to this side where you see background here. So you're definitely going to come to background, right click this part twice. I mean, right click and duplicate twice. So I'm going to duplicate. I can rename easily from here. I can rename one low frequency. Duplicate again. I can rename this one that I just duplicated high frequency. Now, next step, turn off high frequency. Make sure you are clicked on low frequency. You need to ensure this. If you do not do, you're likely to get it wrong. So click on low frequency, then you come to filter, blur, wash and blur. So I normally use value 6.4, right? Then after I'm done with that, I'll come to high frequency, turn it on. That is, once you click this icon here, it makes it visible. Click on high frequency layer. Once you click on high frequency layer, then you go to image, light image. Under this layer, you're going to choose low frequency here. Then under blending mode, you're going to choose subtract. I think it will normally be on normal, or you change it to what? Subtract. Then change your scale to 2, then your offset to 128. Your image will turn gray before you even click this OK. So I'm going to click OK now. Once I click OK, your image will still show as gray. So what has happened right now, we have successfully separated this picture into 2 frequencies. We have high frequency here and we have low frequency here. Now, if I turn off, let me turn off the background so that you guys can see what I want to show you. So if I turn off high frequency, see what I have in my picture. Can you see you cannot see any texture in this picture? Everything is blurred, no texture, right? But all you can see are what? They are colors, which is what happens on low frequency. If I come to high frequency and I turn it on, if I zoom in and for you to see, can you see there is no, you can't see any color here. All you can see are what? Textures everywhere on the screen, right? So after this, I'll make sure I'm clicked on high frequency, then go to this blending mode for layers. Change normal to linear light. So that's the first set of steps that you have to go through when you're working or when you're performing frequency separation. So on to the next one. This is the first step, remember, like I told you. So I always tell you, you can select the 2 layers, right click, and choose group from layers so that you have 2 of them together. So you can expand the group by clicking this arrow just beside the name group or beside the eye property tool or the visibility tool or icon here. So after that, we come back to low frequency. Now the work is about to start now. All what we did earlier, we're just trying to trying to separate trying to separate the picture into the 2 frequencies. So next thing now, here is where we now start using the lasso tool. The lasso tool is called the selection tool. Now, if you're using advanced versions of Photoshop, once you get to this, once you move your mouse on this tool, it's going to show you what the tool does. It's going to show you how to apply the tool. Look at this now. If I go to this lasso tool, can you see? Lasso tool, based on what is written here, it says makes freehand selections, right? It applies for every other tool on this left panel of the Photoshop. Once you move your mouse, just hover your mouse or around it. It's going to show you what it does. It's going to write it out for you so you can understand. Okay, so with my lasso tool selected, at this top bar, I'm going to change my feather. It will probably be on 0 point something or 0. So you should change yours to 12. I like using 12. 12 works for me. Another value might work for another person, but 12 works for me, and it makes my work come out well. So once I've selected lasso, change feather to 12, I would come here and start selecting different parts of the skin. Now, bear in mind, I am trying to make sure I am not moving close to any part that is not skin. Are you getting me? So, as it is right now, I've selected this forehead region. Now, you have to bear in mind, you have to select different parts of the skin separately. It is wrong for you to do something like this, for you to select all the skin at once. You're going to get a very bad image. So what you're meant to do is select the skin regions one after the other. So I'm going to do for forehead first. After forehead, I'll move to the cheek. After the cheek, I'll move to the other cheek, move to the chin, and so on and so forth. So I've selected the forehead, and I'm going to go to filter. Remember, I have clicked on low frequency, which means I am telling the computer this is the layer I am working on at the moment. So I'll go to filter, blur, Russian blur. Now, observe what happens to our forehead when I begin to increase these values. So most times, the values that work best are always between 15 and 29, 30 sometimes. You know, you can go as high as that. You can go higher than that sometimes, depending on the quality of your picture, depending on how much detail you have in your picture. So For this one, I already know that I have to work around 20 something or 30 something because the picture is a close-up image. It's a close-up image, so it has a lot of details. Let me zoom in so you can see. Can you see? I've zoomed in totally, and I can still see a lot of details in the picture, which means the picture was shot well in the first place. So what this thing is trying to do is trying to blend the different contours that we have in this picture. So I'll move it. Like I tell people, you always know when it's too much. Look at this. This is 58 or 52. It's already too much. This is 87. This is really bad. So you don't want to get to that level. So just look for something around 20 something, 30 something. It works for you, depending on how, depending on the type of shot that you took. So I'm going to use like 29 or 30. The 30 is still okay for me. So I have 30.4 right now. Okay. Then after I'm done with that forehead, I'm going to come to this side of the nose. Just do a little here. So you need to take note of how I'm selecting all this region. I'm going to come here again. I've moved to the cheek region now. So you notice that they are simply the same set of steps that I worked on earlier. They are simply the same set of steps that I worked on earlier. I'm going to come here now. So I'm allowed to vary my values depending on the area that I'm selecting. Sometimes if you use a low value, you won't get what you want. So if this one now is too much, I have to reduce it. I can use a value like 20. Oh, it's a little bit for this. I'm going to check the other parts also. I'm going to move to the hand and the other part of the skin as well. You need to pay attention to how I am selecting. I deliberately avoid my selectors touching the parts that have different colors or the color changes too much or it's too abrupt. And see, I'm not selecting the hand and the skin all together. I'm separating them. It is very important for you to take note of this. Separate the selection. Don't do everything all together. Continue all the way. At the end of the day, I know I am going to still crop the image. You know what cropping is, I guess. In case you don't know what cropping is, maybe I'll put one other video where you guys can see how you can crop effectively and how the computer can also help you in cropping proportionally. So I know I'm definitely not getting to the I'm still going to crop this. So in order for I think the tube that she's putting on from showing, I wouldn't want it to show in my cropping normally. So normally I would have stopped here because I'm not going to require all these parts. Okay. So this is what I actually need. I need my picture from the forehead up to like this part. Yes, this is what I need. So I can crop now or crop later, depending on what I want to do, right? So if you look at this picture, and do you guys notice that there is no pimple? Like you don't have all those big pimples compared to the other person that we edited earlier. So you see why I was emphasizing on you having on you doing makeup for your model or your client, or you shooting people if it's a free shoot, you shooting people, or if it's a collaboration or something, you shooting people who don't have too much skin problems. It makes life easy for you. Look at this, which means we're going to spend less time working on our high frequency. We wouldn't have too much to take out when we start working on high frequency. So let's compare where we are now to where we were before. So let me zoom in so you guys can see the difference. So I have grouped the high and low together so that you guys can see the difference between where we were before and where we are now. So look at the difference now. Can you guys see the change in blend? Can you guys see? So we're basically trying to make sure the lights falling on the image, the contours are not showing. We're trying to get rid of all these contours here. Let me just keep it. Let me show you the forehead now. Can you see? This is obviously better than what we had before. A lot better. A lot better. A lot better. Okay, so I assume that I'm done with that low frequency. Now you notice I didn't touch the fingers at all because they look really good. The fingers are okay. You don't have much effects. In fact, she has good skin. To summarize it all, she has good skin, which makes life easier for me. Which makes life really easy for me. So, so I'll be moving to high frequency layer now. So since I'm done with low frequency, I'll make sure I have clicked on high frequency. Then I'll start getting rid of. In fact, I don't know if you guys can see this, but if you are looking at this, you notice that I don't have much spots to clean in this particular picture. But let's just say I just want to show myself, just to display some technicalities, So let's just say we want to clean something by all means. So I'll go to clone stamp, use the clone stamp tool. I'll make sure my brush size, I'll zoom in very well. It's very important. Please note, you need to zoom in very well. And once you zoom in very well, you can always make sure that your size of that clone stamp tool is around 10. I always like 10. 10 is very easy for me. It makes my work come out well. So this is 15 right now. This is 10. And I will zoom in well so I can see what I want to work on. So I would, in order to continue using my clone stamp tool, how clone stamp tool works is such that it takes it samples some part of an image, then uses it to cover a bad part. More like I said earlier, it's like plastic surgery. So you're taking some parts of you're taking some good parts, using it to cover the bad parts. Now, bear in mind, anytime you're doing this, you're meant to take from an area not far, an area very close to what what you're trying to cover, right? You have to make sure you do that all the time. So I'm going to come here now, hold Alt. Was I hold Alt? This mouse button is going to change. This icon is going to change. Was I hold Alt? It means I am ready to select the good part, or ready to make my selection. So I'm going to Alt click the good part, then come to the bad part, just click on it. Alt click the good part, come to bad part, click on it. And I'm going to do this over and over. Now, something happened earlier. Someone was trying to try this, but it didn't work. That's because you were still actively selecting a place. So sometimes you will not know. But you are likely to run into trouble or into problems if you did not deselect your initial selection. So it must have happened when you were doing your low frequency. So if you're, let's assume, let me just show you that. Let's assume you're working on low frequency and then you selected one part that you worked on the last, or maybe let's say somewhere here, that was where you worked on last. If you now go to high frequency and trying to use close stamp to it, you know what? So what you're meant to do is use that same lasso tool that you used while you were on low frequency, come back to the image like this, right click the image and choose to select. It's going to do. Then now come back to high frequency. Now come back to high frequency. So now don't forget to use close stamp tool on high frequency. Use lasso tool on what? Low frequency. So you can continue now. Now, bear in mind, you are clicking, you're not dragging. The moment you start dragging, it takes away the texture in your picture. It's going to take away the texture in your picture. You are meant to click, not drag. When you drag, it looks like it's working, but then trust me, it's taking texture away from your picture. Except you have a line, you know, except you have a line that you want to get rid of. Yeah, you can drag on that, but then normally you're meant to what? You're meant to click. Eliminating all these spots that I do not want. Now, bear in mind, spots are different from skin falls. You guys get me? Spots or pimples, they are different from skin falls. So all these tiny, tiny dots, they are skin falls. That's to tell you that our image has a lot of details in it. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so far so good, looking good. So continue. Over. So are skin falls, which is fine. We can work with it. Fine. Okay. So look at this. This is looking good already, man. It's looking really, really, really good. I have something to it. I can take this out. Zoom in and zoom out. You can use Control plus or Control minus to allow you zoom in and zoom out. Control plus, zoom in, Control minus, zoom out. That's another shortcut. I think I've mentioned like 3 shortcuts to do. S is for close stamp tool. Control plus, Control minus to zoom in and zoom out. L is your lasso tool. I want to note that down. It will come in handy later on. Now look at it. Let's compare the before and after so you guys can see. So I'm going to turn off the group now for you to see. Now imagine, look at what we have now. So the beauty of this method is the more time you spend, the better your results. In all honesty, the more time you spend, the better your results. Because the more time you spend, the more you see some blemishes that you're meant to get rid of. You know. Let me make sure I spent now. This is going to, I'm probably going to speed this up in the video. It doesn't take any time too much. You're going to do for every part that you can see that has some blemish or needs to be changed or needs to be changed. that doesn't look like skin. Get rid of it. Magical, yeah, in a way. Yeah, very magical. And you see photographers, they go through a lot when they take pictures. So you want to ask yourself, do you want to charge very little or you want to charge really high to compensate for the amount of time you're spending on editing pictures? You have to plan, you have to look at that. Look at that. Very, very important. Staying on the notes and getting rid of it. The beauty is to make sure that your brush size is very small. It needs to be very small. I told you I use 10. You know, it makes your work easier. You retain all possible textures in your picture. You don't lose texture whatsoever. The moment your brush size is very big, trust me, it makes it, yeah, it will be faster, yeah. But at the end of the day, you won't have very good image. The image will come out bad because the texture will have gone. Anything that doesn't look like skin that allows to get rid of it. And you see my textures are still intact.
So I'm in this because I'm seeing effects in a shadow.
You know what?
Aux input mode.
You know what?
In this your high frequency side, it's showing effects in a shadow.
Effects. Oh, okay. No, I think that was when I mistakenly opened something. Yeah, I think it was when I mistakenly clicked on it. So I've disabled it now. You notice I've disabled it for institution, but I have turned off the eye. I've turned off the eye. This eye means it is working. This eye means it is not active. So it is, I've turned it off. That was an error there. Okay. Anything, if you make a mistake while selecting or moving your mouse or clicking, you can press Ctrl Z. Ctrl Z is going to for you. You can press Ctrl Z many times, depending on your laptop. You can press Ctrl Z many times. Move back many steps. And see, I still have all my textures. They are intact. Because my brush size is very small. The moment I make my brush size bigger than this, all these textures are going to go. They're going to disappear. It's always instant. Textures disappear when your brush size is big. How to get rid of these lines, lower eyes. Some call it eye bags. I don't know what you call it in your language. So you get rid of this. Let's even have a look. Now look at this. Is it not beautiful? It's majestic. You know,
it's much more better.
okay. And we don't have lots of what's it called? Inputs to get rid of. So I can come here to continue my work. That's the beauty of you carefully looking out for if it's a collaboration shoot, if it's a test shoot, if it's a sample shoot. Or in the case where you have your clients that probably they do not have good skin, what do? You see that it's going to be tough. It's going to be a big war between you and your editor. So you need to put all this in mind when you're working on it. This is not screen. This is well. Then we can continue from here. Village people came to greet me, so they are the ones making noise here. They are from the village. So let's see. Let's even now. Wow, this is looking really good. Man. Looking really good. So is there any other parts you guys are noticing that I need to touch? I need to get rid of some pimple or some things that are not really still like here. Any parts? So imagine you have to do this, like I said earlier, imagine you have to do this for 20 pictures. You see why there are some shoots that you have to charge high for. You just have to charge high for them. Very, very important for you because you really want to know this. So what happens if you, okay, so another case, if you're opening a studio, like the other student that I mentioned to you earlier in class, you know, Mr. Steve, I don't know if you guys remember. So he cannot sit behind the system, you know, doing all of this. So I told him it would be better for him to recruit with you one or two guys who can work on editing features like this. The studio that is trying to open. I think the studio is almost completed now. We are doing a lot of internal work on construction things, all those things. Okay. Yeah. So far so good. Okay, I need to come here. I'll come here again. Okay. To the hand. Okay, there's a scar here. Okay. Here. Okay, no spot here, no this edge. You need to touch up there again. Don't forget you're meant to zoom in very well. Zoom in very well so you can see what you're working on and so you can make your brush size very small. That's the beauty. The moment your brush size gets too high, anything above 15, 20, okay, you are not doing well anymore. You're not doing well anymore. So you know how this guy. Okay, This is obviously better. I mean, we don't even need to ask anybody. It's obviously better. So let me do before and after now at this point. So this is before and after. Obviously better. Obviously better. I think I still have a few lines here that I need to get rid of. Your pictures are meant to have enough details. If you don't have enough details, all the things I'm doing, I wouldn't be able to do that. I think I'm gonna pause here, you know. But let's. This is really looking very good. Looking very good. Very good. Okay, what else? So I'm gonna. Okay, I think this is fine. We're pretty good. So this is, I've shown you guys like 2 or 3 levels now. There is still another level, and there is another level here. So right now I have done frequency separation. There is something I'm meant to do to this picture to make it pop more. We call it dodge and burn. But should I dodge and burn another video? What do you guys think? I think it's better that way, right? We even need to master this one first of all before we say we're moving to another one.
Yeah.
So let me stop the video here because it's been like 20 minutes.
Yes, it's better.
So I can successfully save this guy. Okay, let's see if there's any other parts. Remember I told you I was going to crop this. So let me teach you how to crop. So no, let me just save this so that I know I've got into this level. Okay, this part of the eyes needs to be adjusted. That's the model's fault. She didn't do that point well. I need to correct it for her. You see, I can move back to low frequency, do anything I want to do there. If I notice that something has not been corrected when I was there earlier, I can easily go back and adjust whatever I want to adjust. That's the beauty of this all this method. Remember, shortcut for constant tool is S, shortcut for eraser is E, shortcut for lasso tool is L, shortcut for what else? I'll give you a document that outlines all the shortcuts that you can use in the Photoshop. Control plus, control minus allows you to zoom. Control Z allows you to undo. Okay. Right now, I can save this. Remember, I told you to save as Photoshop file first. I'm going to save this as Photoshop file first. Just add the word editor to the picture. Once it's done saving, then I'll save again as JPEG. JPEG is always the file that's in compressed. So JPEG is always the file type that we send to friends, send to your clients. Your clients cannot utilize Photoshop file correction file is just for you to retain all these layers that we worked on in case you want to correct one or two things about the picture. So I think at this point, I'm going to stop the video so you can try it on your own, watch, digest and do a lot of